It was sitting on my chair and I don't recognize that picture. I don't recognize that picture.
Looks nice. Your summer cut. Fine plate. It's great.
Okay, I'll call the City Council of Pacifica to order for July 23rd, 2018. And can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember O'Neill,
Here.
Councilmember Degree,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Vaterlaus,
Here.
Mayor Keener.
Here. All righty. We'll have a salute to the flag led by Mayor Pro Tem Sue Vaterlaus. City Attorney, do we have a closed session report?
No reportable action?
Okay, thank you. We have no special presentations. Next is the consent calendar. And let's see if we have, we'll have to pull number 9. Any others?
I just make a,
Yeah.
a comment on, forget it, I take it back. I apologize.
Okay.
Make a comment.
Yeah, Mike O'Neill.
I was just going to make a motion that we approve the consent calendar except for item number 9.
have a
Let's
comment.
wait for a second. Yeah, go ahead, Sue.
I just wanted to say, looking at all the items on consent, a lot of hard work has been done. This is noting that it has been completed, and we're making reports of completion. I'm very happy to see this.
Okay? And,
Second. Was there
okay,
a second?
yeah.
Okay,
No, you made it.
okay.
And you, okay. Please vote. Okay, so that passes. That's the consent calendar minus item 9. 5-0. On item 9, the approval of the funding agreement between the City of Pacifica and San Mateo County Transportation Authority for the Manor Drive Overcrossing Improvement Project. Could we have a staff report, please? And there's
Yeah.
the staff.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Brian Ocampo. I'm the Director of Public Works. With me tonight is also our Deputy Director, Sam Bautista, who is seated behind me. The item before you tonight is the approval of the funding agreement between the City of Pacifica and the San Mateo County Transportation Authority, or the TA. Back in October 9, in October 2017, actually particularly October 9, 2017, the Transportation Authority issued a call for project nomination in connection with their Measure A highway program. And the focus of the program is to reduce the traffic congestion and improve the throughput and safety of most of the commuters within the corridor. In response to the call for project nominations, staff submitted this project. Actually, we submitted the first phase, which is the preliminary planning phase of this project. The amount that we estimated that preliminary planning phase would cost is $680,000. Originally, we submitted for the preliminary planning phase and the project identification, but what happened is the TA said, we can only fund you for the preliminary planning phase. That's why we ended up with just half of it. This funding agreement that is before you tonight is in the strict format that the TA has given us. It is it's a requirement for us to get reimbursed for the expenditures that we're going to incur to prepare that particular report.
Okay, thank you, Van. Any questions from council? Okay, I have 2 speaker cards on this. Suzanne Moore, and after her, Carolyn Giramillo.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Moore, Pacifica resident and homeowner on Milagro Drive in the Manor District. As the city seeks to approve a funding agreement with San Mateo County Transportation Authority on the Manor Drive Overcrossing Improvement Project, I recognize Public Work Team's commitment to involve the public in the first phase of the project. The improvement plan includes 3 aspects: widening of the existing Manor Bridge overpass, traffic signals at the Manor Oceana Palmetto intersections, and a new northbound Highway 1 entrance at the end of Milagro Drive. Traffic through the intersections at Manor Oceana Palmetto during peak hours is heavy. The project goals are to improve the traffic stream through the area and provide greater pedestrian and bicycle safety. There is no doubt, however, that the construction phase will cause delays and detours. It will be very inconvenient for those who live, work, and drive through the Manor District. Early community involvement will keep us informed and allow us to ask important questions. I appreciate the intent of Public Works to conduct neighborhood meetings not only at this initial phase, but other key phases of this improvement project. Please keep neighbors informed of dates of community meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Carolyn Giramillo.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Jaramillo. I live on Manor Drive, and I'm here tonight to also ask that there be ample opportunity for the residents of the Manor District to give input on this improvement project. I too am glad that there will be the additional lane or path for bicycles and the other safety improvements. but I'm hoping that there will be invitation and a real outreach seeking the community input so that people will be well informed as to how they will be impacted by this very large construction project. It's very important that community input be sought during the initial phase so that people can ask the questions and raise concerns and everyone be well informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn Yaramillo. Closer. Okay, so any other comments from, yeah. Sue
Well, I would
Degree.
like clarification. I believe at one or two council meetings, we already said that there would be public input. Do we have any more data on that? I think we committed to 2 more public extra meetings for this.
Yeah, just for this particular phase, which is the preliminary planning phase, we are already identifying 2 public meetings. Once we get the funding agreement and the consultant on board, that's when we can come up with the project schedule at which we will make sure that we do the proper notification, including the use of social media.
And so that also, that includes not just giving out information, but taking in input.
Yes, Councilmember Degree,
Okay.
yes.
And the other thing I would encourage is that anytime we refer to this, that we actually specify, because sometimes the fact that there's going to be traffic lights, for example, gets overlooked. So I think when we have like this as a topic, that approved funding, whatever, that we actually specify the 3 things so that people that are not aware can become aware each time. It's kind of like a disclosure thing.
Yeah, we will make sure of that. You know, part of the preliminary planning phase is to really nail down the project description and what the components are. And obviously, as a starting point, we will come up with that, and then we'll get the input so we can fine-tune it.
And along with reaching out to the public, I think it's also very important to consider all those businesses as part of the public, not just the residents, who are extremely important, but
Yeah, definitely, because when we do the outreach and the notification, those businesses will get informed too.
right. And as we've held before, when anything is done around a business, I believe our practice has been to be sensitive to the operations of those businesses and their hours and things like that. I believe we've been pretty good at that for the last couple of years.
That is correct.
Okay. Seeing no other lights, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve consent item number 9.
I'll second.
Okay, please vote. And that passes 5-0. Okay, we're on to oral communications. Normally, we allow 3 minutes for any public speakers. The first public speaker card that I have is for Giovanni I'm just going to butcher your name, Guadagnini. I know that you speak a little more slowly than some of us, and so I'm going to give you 5 minutes instead of the 3. Can you handle that, the city clerk? Sarah, can you handle 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay.
Hello, my name is Giovanni Guadagnini. I was here at the last meeting, and when I left, I don't know why you got all these nice street lights on Palmetto, but when you go up on Paloma towards Oceana High School, there's no street lights. There's no yellow pads on the curb cuts. The curb cuts are cut too small. When I went home, my wheel went flat. and they're solid rubber tires. And I bent the frame, and I bent the fork and the spindle that holds the wheel in place. Why isn't there any street lights or paint where the curb cuts are? Why are they cut very narrow? And why are they steep? And you go by Oceana High School, you got a storm drain over there that's at a 45-degree angle, and it's a rectangle shaped by the curb cut in the corner of the grass. And you can't even see it. There's no street lights or nothing over there. It is pitch black. But if you look across the street from Oceana High School where the tennis courts are, there's a yellow pad across the street. But there's none on the Palmetto and every place else. And you got all the power poles and the garbage can blocking the sidewalk on Oceana Boulevard. They're right in the center. How do you get by with a wheelchair or a walker? You can't. You guys are opening up yourself for another lawsuit. My chair is all I have now. When I did my shoulder on Gateway, I totaled my scooter, my electric scooter, when I rolled it. And I almost rolled this one. This chair is $71,000. Do you guys have that in your back pocket? 'Cause I don't. Who's gonna pay for the frame and the wheels on this chair? And the forks? I'm not. And don't make me get signatures from all the handicapped people in Pacifica about all the curb cuts and stuff. You guys can make them all legal and easy access for us people to go on with the walkers and wheelchairs. Why don't you guys get a wheelchair and try to get on the curb cuts? You guys don't. I'm willing to give up my chair and get a walker and let you guys try the curb cuts over on Oceana Boulevard. And I want to see you guys get around the power poles for the telephone and PG&E. I want to see the curb cuts that was promised to me put on Palmetto all the way to the park, and the sidewalk put on Palmetto where the Fish and Bowl is, so I can go down to Manor. There ain't no sidewalk there. And last time I was here, I went home. Hold on, I'll show you the window, the wheel.
Thank you.
You see how the wheel's flat? on both sides. I had to miss my bus last time and had to ride home because I bent the fork that holds the wheel and the to the scooter. I bent the spindle that holds the wheel onto the fork. And there ain't nothing that the city's doing. Like I said, you're just opening yourself up for another lawsuit.
Okay. Next speaker.
I'll get petitions signed.
Next speaker is Suzanne Moore, followed by Tiger Jazz Big Stick.
This is working, guys. Oh. Okay. Thank you to the prior speaker. Again, my name is Suzanne Moore, and I'm a Pacifica resident and homeowner. Kevin Wodehouse, Pacifica City Manager, recently responded to a, quote, homeowner alert, end quote, sent to Pacifica residents by San Mateo County Association of Realtors, SAMCAR. Manager Woodhouse corrected inaccuracies in SAMCAR's alarming post, which pertain to the city's sea level rise adaptation study and the local coastal plan update. It is not the first time that the city has addressed inaccuracies presented by SAMCAR. In the 2017 campaign for rent stabilization, the city updated its website to correct misinformation from SAMCAR. The city correctly identified that Measure C was not a tax and would not draw from Pacifica's general fund. SAMCAR's influence is not restricted simply to public misinformation. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent to influence city council elections and local ordinances. SAMCAR and California Apartment Association are currently under investigation by the Fair Political Practice Commission for lack of campaign financial records. Campaign records for a petition drive to defeat Ordinance 814, Pacifica's 2017 temporary moratorium against high-rate rent increases before last November's election, are not on file with the Pacifica City Clerk. And again, the FPPC is investigating. It would appear SAMCAR is attempting to create a climate that benefits them politically and financially. I would like to challenge those running for Pacifica City Council to refuse contributions from SAMCAR and its associates. I recommend that Pacifica voters study campaign contributions for undue influence from corporate monies and special interests. Pacifica, like other communities in the Bay Area, is seeking solutions to problems like sea level rise, affordable housing and homelessness, and a balanced budget. SAMCAR's noise makes it hard to hear Pacifica's voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Tiger Jazz Big Stick, followed by Bridget Duffy, followed by Lisa Connolly.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. I am Tiger Jazz Twirls Big Stick from Pacifica. Excuse me as I'm speaking while fiddling with the mic. Tonight I am wearing my Pacifica Resource Center's Board of Directors hat. So I'm here on behalf of the board and the Resource Center to let everyone know in town to expect a purple envelope. We are excited about this purple envelope because it is the invitation to our annual Palmapalooza event. This year we have a Wild West theme. Inside the envelope, you'll find another envelope, but you'll also find information. And the most pertinent of the information, along with our many lovely sponsors, is that the event will be held on Saturday, August 18th at 1227 Dan Man over at Pedro Point, the Firehouse. So that is where we're having it this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. For more information, you can go to pacresourcecenter.org/Palmapalooza and find out how to get tickets and more about the event, and we're very excited. It is going to be fun. I think every so often, fun is a good idea in Pacifica, and it all goes to a great cause, which is ultimately making sure that everybody in our community is secure and getting to a place they really want to be. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. This is how we're trying to accomplish it, and I think it's going to be a good event for all parties involved. Thank you to the council members who are supporting the event. Thank you to all council members for perpetually supporting the Pacifica Resource Center, and I am honored and happy to be living in a town in which the entire community seems pretty darn supportive of the Resource Center and our mission. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Thank you, Tiger. Next up, Bridget Duffy, followed by Lisa Connolly.
Hello, Bridget Duffy. Hi. I have a couple of things I want to say. I have a new newsletter, which I'm going to give Sarah, and there's copies for all of you. The first thing I'd like to say, I missed the marijuana talk. I'm kind of appalled at what's happening. I don't know who's in charge, but I watched you guys grandfather in predatory payday lenders just because they already exist here. Yet we have several home businesses run by people from Pacifica who've been in business for a while. And now because some crazy, you call it a lottery, it's not a lottery if 2 people buy up 5 spots. That's a raffle, okay? And that's exactly what happened. So there was no real legitimate lottery. And as far as I can tell, this cannot be legal. And it's definitely not moral, because we have people that have businesses in our community that should absolutely be grandfathered in. They have been providing a medicine and a service to this community for a while now, and they deserve the respect that they've earned through being in business. That's what grandfathering people in means. I want to mention Crespi Drive. There's a lot of construction going on, yet at Crespi Drive, directly across from the senior center, is a senior apartment building. Those senior citizens, who I sometimes escort, are trying to run across the street. 99-year-old women trying to run across the street before they get killed by a car. That's outrageous. Why is there not something, do something. You got a lot of money for construction, put in some kind of crosswalk or something for these people. These are the bedrock of our community. They vote for you guys. You know, they're faithful in every way, citizens, and yet they're darting across the street to the community center. It's ridiculous. And the other thing is the rents. Unreasonable, unjustifiable, and inhumane rents are what's causing homelessness. It's causing disruption to every aspect of our community. It's causing disruption to our economy. Okay, if it takes $56 an hour to pay rent in San Mateo County, why am I working for $12 an hour? Why is anybody working for $12 an hour? I'll tell you, as soon as people start making what they need to make to live here, everybody's going to be concerned. Everybody, consumers, business owners, everybody. Your job is lawmakers. It's okay for you to pass laws. It's okay for you to protect us. I give you permission.
Thank you, Bridget. Lisa Connolly.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lisa Keneally. I shouldn't be here tonight because 2 weeks ago, I stepped off the curb. Crespi and Roberts, 2 cars came barreling down Crespi. She missed me by 5 inches. They were going so fast, they didn't even recognize a police officer in back of them. This is an ongoing problem. I've talked to merchants, dog walkers, surfers, a San Mateo County worker, senior citizens, parents of children at Cabrillo, Samtrans bus drivers, and the tourists. Everybody is jaywalking, okay? And on that corner, there are 2 crosswalks. And on the other side by Cabrillo is 1 line. And we can't figure out where these cars are coming from, but where they're coming from is they're taking a shortcut to get onto Cabrillo, and they're using Crespi. Now, everybody is irate, all right? 3 people were supposed to be here behind me, and they're angry, and they're upset. And we're talking about people with walkers, hurricanes, and in wheelchairs. And they're not using those crosswalks. Now, I went into Fog City, and I have a whole bunch of people that signed 2 pages. I've talked to Kevin Mullen's office. They sent me an email, asked me, what is City Council doing about this? All right? The only answer is 4-way streetlights, please, and speed bumps. You put the speed bumps in Lindemar Shopping Center in front of Chase. You did a great job on Palmetto with the green strips for the bicyclists. This is not if. This is going to be when. Somebody is going to end up in ICU, or some family is going to have to make funeral arrangements. That's how dangerous this intersection is. And once again, it's Roberts and Crespi. And I know that a few people have come down here in the past, all right? And those are predecessors, okay? That's your predecessors. I would only ask you that you would consider this, and please call somebody and have 4-way lights and speed bumps. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And that's all the oral communications we have. It's time now for council communications. Mike O'Neill.
Oh,
Your light was first.
No, it's not even on.
Not now.
Oh, you shut it off, okay. I didn't even know if I have anything to say.
Oh, okay.
I'm speechless, John. I'm speechless.
Boy, that's a first.
I know. I have to go check my calendar here.
Okay, in the meantime, let's go to Sue Vadelas.
I went to Java with Jerry at Mazzetti's, which was quite well attended. Interesting questions asked by the public to Jerry. He answered everything he could. I went to the groundbreaking for the new pedestrian overcrossing at San Jose Avenue, which is a huge improvement over the old one. They will leave the old pedestrian overcrossing until they finish the new one. And you can see every day that they are working on it. And yes, sometimes when we do construction projects, it is an inconvenience for a time, but in the end, it's a lot better. So we just have to put up with inconvenience while they're doing construction. I went to City and County Association of Government Legislative. We discussed the past issues such as 101 managed lanes, and mostly the transportation issues. I also went to the Relay for Life, which was quite a bit larger than it has been in the past because they included the coast side into the Pacifica Relay. So it's Pacifica Coast Side Relay for Life. And so there were a lot more people there. I looked at the fishing tournament because someone had said that the fishing tournament was going to be about 400 people. And when I went down, there were 30 or 40. And they were having the beach clean up at the same time, so I got to watch the people pick up, although I was on my way somewhere else, but I did see that in action too. I also attended the City and County Association of Governments Water Committee. The Water Committee is trying to develop an actually new agency, something similar to the City and County Association, to combine all the cities in San Mateo County so that we can all go together to apply for grants for large projects that are necessary throughout the cities. But there are a lot of overlapping projects, so like our coastal issues are the same as Half Moon Bay. We could work together and maybe get a large amount of money at one time, and it will be a great improvement. I also went to the grand opening of the Chase Bank, which was very small. So I think there were 2 people there. So I wanted to let people know that we do have a new business, and it is Chase Bank, and it's open in Lindemar Shopping Center. Thanks.
Thank you, Sue. Mike O'Neill.
Okay. I attended the Pacifica Democrats meeting on Saturday, and it was really rather informative. It's an organization that it's called Sisters, and they take and match districts that are heavily Democratic like ours, and they funnel money and send workers to knock on doors in districts, let's say in another state, that could turn to Democratic in the midterm election. So it was interesting listening to their strategies. I also attended the San Mateo County Labor Council's dinner on Friday. They had the AFL-CIO's vice chair there, and he made his comments on the Janus decision and some other interesting stuff regarding what's happening in the labor movement in the United States. And I also went to the Relay for Life, and it was well attended. I actually walked with Tiger around it isn't the track, but around the circle a couple of times. And also, just to kind of paraphrase what Sue said, First National Bank, who's been an institution here in Pacifica for decades, is now bought out by a Valley Bank and is Tri-County Bank. So we have 2 new banks in Pacifica, I guess. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Deirdre Martin.
I have a few things. The July, our July cleanup was a success. We had a lot of folks show up for the continued cleanup post 4th of July. There's a little more than 30 people there, and the good news is there's not a lot of fireworks waste. So, hooray. The Pacifica Beach Coalition had a lot of give back days I mentioned in June, but the success was that they cleared nearly all of the weeds from Lindemar to Rockaway. The July and August give back days will focus on any remaining weeds, and they're going to look to remove the Caltrans buckwheat down at Lindemar along the trail and restore that area with wood chips to ward off the future weeds and restore soil biology. So look for some of that. I wanted to mention, I don't know who reads the Tribune anymore, but in case you don't, there's some really good education going on in there from Recology. So please look at that. And I did a little investigation myself and found out, and many of you may already know that China is no longer buying our waste. Whether you agree with that or not, it's a fact. So things are going to change for us, and they're going to change big time. And I know a lot of people, you either love Recology or hate it. Regardless, it's a necessary part of our lives. And I have to say, I'm always very pleased with how Recology always is trying to be part of this community by educating us. And so they're giving us a heads up on these things that are coming down. And one of the things that's going to change for us is how we handle waste management. And so some of that education is preparing us for potentially increases because we're no longer able to ship it offshore. And also education. And some of this education, you can read it yourself, which we're already being really made aware of all over the place, is reduction of plastic, how to reduce your household intake. So the best way to fight it really is to not accept it. So I would challenge you all to seek new ways to do that. Recology has made a commitment that they're not going to fill the landfills with things that can be recycled. So if you did not know, you can recycle old backpacks at the Recology office. You can bring your coffee pods to the Recology office. You can bring your styrofoam peanuts to the Recology office. And these are just a few ways in which Recology is trying to prepare us, trying to help us, and being a partner to us in our communities. And I was just flipping through it, and the past couple, I meant to mention this last time, but I saw it again, and I thought, I just have to mention it. I'm just impressed. I feel like it's a pretty progressive thing that they're doing there. So educate yourself too. And I just want to note that Recology lost 7 toters this 4th of July. They also had a program where you could return your fireworks to Recology, and they got like 300 pounds of fireworks, which was awesome. But what actually ended up happening in certain situation was they put their fireworks in their toters and they caught on fire. So 7 of them were lost, and as a matter of fact, one of them caught the Recology truck on fire.
Oh, God.
So fortunately, they were able to save it. No one was hurt, and the truck was not damaged, but let's just try to really be mindful of this stuff that's going on, and it's all around July 5th, it's all around 4th. I always say July 5th because that's a big cleanup day. But it's all around cleanup activities and just being more mindful of what we're doing and how we're handling our waste. So I just am challenging everyone to be aware. Along those same lines, many of you are hip to Nextdoor, and some of the things that have been coming around on Nextdoor is about dog waste, and dog waste in particular areas. So we're challenging everyone to please pick up your dog's waste. And, you know, a lot of beach coalition members clean up other people's dog waste too. So if you have an extra and you see it, hand it off to someone if you don't see them with it. There may be the opportunity somewhere along the lines of you know, the pet waste bags. I know some people have self-made ones around town, but let's just be more mindful of that, of our neighbors. I wanted to mention something about, oh, that woman left, didn't she? Her name was Lisa. We have actually an agenda item tonight about our bike and pedestrian plan, and we are going to be studying all of our bike and pedestrian walkways. And we are doing curb cutouts, and that project is underway, is coming up very, very soon. And a lot of spots have been identified, and that gentleman also already left too. So just keep your eyes out for those things that are happening, and things don't happen like that, but they are happening, and we are aware, and we do care. We do care. The other thing was Emergency Preparedness Commission that I am the liaison. The goal or the purpose is for them to basically provide guidance to the council on any sorts of emergency preparedness response issues, things like that. We did a little bit of a postmortem on the disaster preparedness event that happened last month, so that we got some really good feedback on that and looking to incorporate that for next year's event. And some of the things that I found out, which I thought was interesting that you all might be happy to hear, is that our CERT program, our Community Emergency Response Team, has started an animal rescue branch, which I thought was pretty cool. So they had their first meeting, and you know, we don't really think about it till after the fact, but how many videos have you seen of horses trying to get out of that fire or little bunnies being rescued? So it can happen, and we will be prepared, so that's pretty cool. Also, just a couple things that are coming up for in terms of emergency response. There's a violent intruder class coming up on the 2nd of August. There's National Night Out for the police on August 7th. And then this week on the 25th, there's an earthquake preparedness class. So there's usually some spots there if you're interested. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Deirdre. Sue DeGree.
A couple of things. For the open space, what is the rest of it? Open Space and Parkland Committee that met, 2 things I'll pull out of it. One is that we voted to keep active meeting minutes, so in case you're not sure what active minutes is, instead of just saying we met, we talked about this, we decided that, and that's the end of it, we have chosen to continue with active meeting minutes so that anyone can look it up and see what actually transpired. And one of the things that did transpire last Wednesday was the Parks and Rec representative from San Francisco came and gave a good presentation and given back and forth chatter regarding their property that's in our city limits, and that would be the golf course and the archery range. And when she left, she said this is the most friendly meeting that she's ever been to. So I would say the relationship between San Francisco and Pacifica is good, and may we keep it that way. So I'm very happy. So Councilwoman Vatterlos, did you say that was CCAG that did the water? Was that the water thing? Right, and you've heard me before say I'm very concerned about fresh water and sewage, and I'm happy that the cities and counties are looking at that. Being kind of a local fanatic, I do encourage council and staff to look at our city in particular. Like, we get Hetch Hetchy water is the best in the world, but there's one pipe that comes down and serves us, and there's a branch off to San Bruno if there's a big earthquake. I think we should be concerned about that. I know there are storage tanks, et cetera, but we're talking about a big earthquake, so we might want to look into working with San Francisco to perhaps, check on that to make sure that we are going to be served well. The last thing we want anywhere at any time is to have water issues that we can't control. So I'm very happy to see that. But encourage, again, that our local, and I know we have a separate water department, but still, we're in charge of the city safety, and if you don't have fresh water and good sewage, you're in very bad trouble. What was the other thing? So the Airport Legislative Committee met, so the FAA reorganization is going on, and it's now in the National Senate, so we did compose a letter and tried to put as many components as we could that we've talked about for years about noise and making it a stronger commitment from the Congress to the FAA and involving updating and using more modern methods to measure noise and to follow noise. So we sent that letter. Actually, I think I mentioned before that we belong to this organization called NOISE, and they are in Washington, D.C., so they were on the phone with us and said that they would actually hand deliver the letter to the Senate. So that was extra attention, shall we say, we hope. So keep your eye on that. We should be hearing more. The likelihood of the present composition of senators on the Rules Committee is only one Democrat and mostly Republicans. But you have, like Senator McCain, who has spoken up, and several other Republicans. So maybe there is hope, but right now we're not so sure. So we'll stay tuned on that. The Airport Roundtable does meet its regular meeting, which will be August 1st at 7 o'clock in Millbrae by the library. And tomorrow, the county is having its meeting regarding mobilization and transportation for seniors and disabled. That's at 11:30 on 37th Avenue. I think I got it.
That's it. Thank you, Sue. Mike O'Neill.
I just wanted to give the council an update on the subcommittee for the airport with Brisbane. I've sent out the doodle requests to the city council members from Brisbane. The two city managers have conversed. However, they have not responded yet because they've been very tied up in regards to their general plan regarding the 500 acres of baylands. So I was speaking to a city council person of Brisbane, and he said they just finished that, so they're probably going to have a little bit more time on their hands. But there is we have requested meeting dates, and I think Sue has responded here, but I think I'm going to need to throw some more dates on there.
Could you check with me to make sure when I'm available, please?
Yeah, you already checked the doodle poll.
I thought you were going to change them all.
Well, I will do that when I change them, yeah, because I think a couple of the dates I offered there. But on another note, I did converse with another Brisbane City Council person, and I'm going to be chatting with the city manager about another method Brisbane is doing to see if Pacifica would want to join that, and if we want to, then we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting here. So if you can remind me about that. I've meant to talk, when we met today, I meant to talk about it. But, so we are trying to get a meeting date together, and that's just basically the status. I just want to be sure everybody knew.
Thank you.
Okay. So all the things that I did, Sue Vatalas already mentioned, Relay for Life, CCAG, and the Highway 1 groundbreaking. So she's Mayor Pro Tem. I think she's ready to step up. Staff communications.
Great, thank you, Mayor Keener, council members, Kevin Woodhouse, city manager. Just one brief comment that I'll also reiterate is the groundbreaking that we had with Caltrans, a joint effort held just over here across from the San Jose pedestrian bridge. So that was an exciting morning, and I think celebrating both the beginning of that project as well as the ongoing work on repaving Highway 1. So just wanted to mention that. And then I don't have other comments. I'm going to yield my time, though, however, to Director Ocampo and Assistant City Manager Hines to introduce two new staff members that we have. First is HR Manager Leah Maksoud. So I'll have Assistant City Manager Hines introduce her. And then we also have Associate Civil Engineer Lawrence Enriquez here. Both are here, and Director Ocampo will introduce him.
Mayor Keener, members of the Pacifica City Council, my name is Lorenzo Hines, Assistant City Manager, and I have the with certain enthusiasm, I'm here to introduce Leah Maksoud. Sorry, you see, I'm just overwhelmed and overjoyed. Leah is our new Human Resources Manager. She comes to us from, most recently, the city of Modesto. She has worked at the city of Fresno. She's worked with Yosemite Community College District, Portland Art Museum, and as well as some other organizations. She's proved herself to be a multifaceted and results-driven individual with excellent qualifications to support and manage the diversity of functions and issues that we have in our HR shop. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from Cal State University Stanislaus, and she also has a certificate in HR Management from Portland State University. And she has a number of other certifications and training. And I just wanted you all to say hello to Leah. And would you stand up? Come on up and say hello to the Pacifica City Council.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be part of the City of Pacifica team and be a part of the team that helps make it great and continues to work on all these projects that the citizens have assigned to us. But thank you for having me. Pleasure to meet you all.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. I would like to introduce to you the latest member of the Public Works Department, particularly in the Engineering Division. He's our new Associate Civil Engineer. His name is Mr. Lawrence Enriquez. Lawrence is a native of San Francisco. He went to high school at Archbishop Reardon, and he earned his degree from San Francisco State University, his degree in Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. He has decades of experience in the civil engineering field. His last employment was with the City and County of San Francisco, particularly in their Pavement Management Division, the Streets and Highways Division, and the Bureau of Construction Management. He also used to work for the City of South San Francisco, where he held the position of Associate Civil Engineer, and he worked on a number of road work projects, traffic engineering projects, and also projects that coordinated with Caltrans. He is an avid tennis player, and he competes year-round in U.S. Tennis Association tournaments. With that, I would like to introduce again Mr. Lawrence Henriquez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I'm very much happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to helping achieve City Council goals, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Welcome.
Thank you, Board.
Okay. Next, we have items for consideration, two of them. The first one is approval of consultant services agreement with Alta Planning and Design for the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. Could we have a staff report, please?
Good evening again, Honorable Mayor. With me tonight is Associate Civil Engineer Ryan Marquez, along with Deputy Director Sam Bautista. The project or the item that's before you tonight is the work of our Associate Engineer here, and so he's here to provide you with a staff report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. The item before you tonight is for the approval of agreement for the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. And in order to give you some background on this project, I've prepared a brief presentation. In this presentation, I'll go over the project background and how we got to where we are today. I will detail the need and the goals for the project, and then I will give an overview of the work that will occur during the project, including the public outreach. And then finally, I will discuss the project funding. To give you a better idea of what has already occurred, I've prepared this project timeline. In May of last year, CCAG issued a call for projects for Transportation Development Article 3 grant project funds. City staff submitted an application in August of 2017, and in October of 2017, staff presented that application to CCAG Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which our very own Councilmember Martin is a member of. In November of 2017, City Council adopted a resolution supporting the project and committing matching funds for the fiscal year 18-19. In February of 2018, the city was awarded $55,000 in funding to complete a bicycle and pedestrian master plan. City staff then released a request for proposals and received 2 proposals, and after grading each proposal, found that Alta Planning and Design to be the most qualified consultant. And that leads us here to tonight for the council approval of agreement. The project is expected to take just a bit over a year and is expected to end in September of 2019. The need for this project is apparent. Currently, Pacifica does not have a pedestrian plan, and the last update to the bicycle plan was in 2018. Since then, many policies and infrastructure have changed.
It's in 2000, right?
Sorry.
You said 2018.
Apologies.
That's okay. I just want to make sure everybody got that.
Yes. The last bicycle plan update was in 2000, almost 18 years ago. And since then, a lot of policies and infrastructure has changed, so updating this plan is very necessary. Currently, approximately 15% of accidents in Pacifica involve a bicyclist or pedestrian. The hope is that this plan can help identify projects and improvements that will help lower this number in order to make the city overall a safer place. Furthermore, Pacifica currently has gaps in pedestrian and bicyclist facilities that this plan will help identify and prioritize. The goals of this project are to address current and future bicycle and pedestrian improvement needs, to improve connectivity between key destinations and adjacent communities, and to address safety concerns, and also to prioritize and assess future projects. The scope of work for this project will generally follow these 5 tasks. The work will begin with gathering existing data on infrastructure condition, traffic volume, building density data, demographics, and more. The work will include public outreach throughout the project to ensure that the public's voice is heard. I'll go into further detail about the public outreach in my following slide. Then, all relevant policies and goals will be reviewed so that both regional and local policies and goals are integrated into this plan. Then, a needs assessment will be done to see where collisions occur and where the demand for new bicycle pedestrian facilities are. Finally, a recommendation and implementation strategy will be written and presented to City Council. And as I said earlier, the projected completion date is September 2019. Public outreach is a vital component of this plan. The proposed outreach is as follows. It would entail 4 Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee presentations/meetings. Currently, the Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Commission acts as the city's BPAC. It would include 2 community workshops, which would be open house style. It would include 2 informational articles in Connect with Pacifica, and would have an online community input map, which residents could mark areas of concern or where they would like to see improvements. And then there would be a final presentation for the final draft plan that would be presented to City Council for their approval. The funding for this project is as follows. CCAG has provided a grant in the amount of $55,000. The city will match the grant with $55,000 from the general fund. The agreement amount is for $109,666. Staff is requesting approximately $10,000 in contingency budget from the general engineering funds in the event that additional workshops, public meetings, or unforeseen circumstances arise. The overall budget authority request is for $120,000. Happy to take your questions now.
I have a question.
Sue DeGree.
I just want to hear it again. So you think this is going to be done by September 2019?
Yes.
You're confident? I'm gleeful about that because our Ohlone Portola big international event is October. That's great.
So, can I help?
Yeah. Deirdre.
Just to clarify, it's just a plan. Just a plan so far.
Oh, yeah.
It's the first
okay.
step.
Oh, darn. Okay.
I doubt it'll be done by October.
No, I mean, but this
I'm an
is,
optimist, you know.
yeah, this is really good news. And so the way I see it is we get a plan done, and then next steps is seek more funding for grants to get the prioritized stuff done first, right? And the prioritize, I mean, I think that may be part of it is, you know, putting into priorities, sort of like our paving index, right? It would be something like that in terms of the priority pedestrian areas, priority biking areas.
But I do suggest that we bring this up with the Ohlone Portola because we're talking about trails and visiting. I think, who knows, maybe there's a little extra money in that. I don't know, I'm just thinking.
Well, we've got another grant cycle coming, so we can look at that, right?
Anybody else?
Just want to say I'm really excited about it, that's all. And thank you for your hard work. And you did a great job at the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee group, which is a part of CCAG, which is City and County Association of Governments. I've been asked to clarify some of these acronyms for those who are out there, so I'm going to start doing that. You did a great job. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Public hearing.
I have no speaker cards. Do I have a motion?
Ask anyway.
I move that we approve the, let me put my glasses on. Let's see, designate, I move that we approve item number 11, approve consultant services agreement between the City of Pacifica and Alta Planning and Design for the bicycle and pedestrian master plan and authorize the city manager to sign all project-related documents.
Second.
Okay, please vote. And that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, the last item on our agenda. Oops, yes. Oh, yeah, I was ignoring that, yeah. 2018-19 adopted budget amendment to fund the North County Fire Authority fire engine.
Good evening once again. Lorenzo Hines, Assistant City Manager. Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm here with Acting Deputy Chief Pimempik, Chuck Pimempik. And so we're here to talk about a budget amendment for 18-19. This is actually the first one of the fiscal year that would provide funding for a fire engine that North County Fire Authority is looking to purchase for service here in Pacifica. So the 18-19 budget, adopted budget for the North County Fire Authority contains an appropriation of $70,000. And if you recall, when we were putting the 18-19 budget together, we had isolated $70,000 of general fund balance, which was to be used to pay for the annual cost of funding a new fire engine. And so there are sort of a couple of moving parts here for this particular transaction. What you have before you is a request to appropriate $602,000 from Fund 72, which is our motor vehicle replacement fund. And that $600,000 will be used to almost prepay, well, not almost, but prepay the engine. Because of the nature of the transaction, 100% prepayment is necessary in order to take advantage of the discounts that North County Fire Authority was able to secure to bring the price of this engine down. And so I'm going to back up a little bit, but just sort of the overview, but I'm going to back up a little bit. So in early July, the North County Fire Authority submitted a final pricing for a fire engine, and the attached quote is there with the item. And the engine is being purchased for the city of Pacifica. Total engine cost after discount is $602,083.05. We intend to finance this unit or engine over 10 years, so we anticipate that the annual payment will be around $70,000. So North County Fire Authority was able to drive down, as I mentioned earlier, was able to drive down the price of the engine by combining this equipment purchase with equipment purchases for Brisbane, Daly City, and Pacifica. So Daly City is getting, I think, a big ladder truck, and Brisbane is getting an engine, and we're getting an engine. And so they were able to get that, buy all that equipment at once and got great discounts. However, in order to take advantage of these discounts, it's imperative that each city process a purchase order by no later than July 26, and that's Wednesday. So in addition to this transaction that's before us, I'm currently reviewing funding proposals to address the long-term financing of this particular equipment, and that's where the $70,000 comes from. However, because of the time necessary for my review of various loan proposals from various banks, we needed to move a bit quickly here because of the time frame of this particular transaction. So what I am proposing is that we expend the $602,083 from Fund 72 to pay for the engine and use the subsequent financing proceeds to reimburse Fund 72. And I wanted to
I'm sorry, can you explain how that works?
Okay. So
Thanks.
let me take you to packet page 230. Page 12A of your packet. Now, you can see that there are 3 orders there, one for Daly City, one for Brisbane, and one for Pacifica. And so what this organization is looking for, and that's Pierce, I think, Equipment Leasing, is they are looking for 100% prepayment at the time of order. And so you can see Pacifica's share there in the far right-hand corner, is $602,083. And so what we have to do is be able to provide those dollars to this company by July 26, or at least a commitment to provide these funds to this company by July 26. And so what I want to do is take dollars that we already have from the Motor Vehicle Replacement Fund, buy this engine, then come back and finance this engine. I'm going to be looking at some other alternatives too. We're going to either get a loan for the engine, or if I have the means in-house to pay for the engine, we'll do it that way. But I want to have time to analyze those options.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Pardon my extreme ignorance here. You said we're going to use the funds to buy the engine, then we're going to come back and finance the engine. I don't understand that.
Okay, because the funds in the motor vehicle.
Okay, when you say refi, that makes sense to me. Okay, that's what she said.
Okay, well, let me clarify a little bit more. The funds in the Motor Vehicle Replacement Fund is made up of contributions from all the departments. And so in order for things to remain equitable, we're going to use $600,000. There's roughly about $1 million, $1.2 million in that fund right now. But not all of that is associated with fire's contributions. So, but I need $600,000 to pay for this engine now. And then I'm going to go get financing. And then I'm going to repay Fund 72, and then we'll be paying for that engine with the financing.
Okay.
So that's what I'm ultimately trying to do, but I'm also going to be looking at whether or not we can afford it in-house with fund balance or other sources. But because of the time constraint, again, we got this request on July 5th, and when you're working with juggling 3 banks and a whole bunch of offers and a whole bunch of terms, that's not a whole lot of time for us to whittle down to the best deal. So I need to be able to sort of move fast on this. Yes.
I feel like they'll give you a little more time. I feel like they'll give you a little more time if you're going to give them $605,000. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
So, but the original plan was to spend $70,000 over the next
10 years.
Right.
Yes. And that's what we'll still do if we choose to go in that direction.
Yeah. You're stating all of this very factually, but in terms of like the bigger picture, you're the budget guy. What are your thoughts? I mean, it feels precarious to me.
Well, that's why when we put the 18-19 budget together, that's why we isolated. I mean, it's pretty much in every display that I laid out. There's $70,000 in fund balance that's there, and that is for the payments for a new fire engine. And it's, you know, I'm pretty confident that we have the fund balance to pay for the engine. And actually, I'm very confident that we have the fund balance to pay for the engine. And plus, fire has indicated a need to replace the apparatus at this time.
Right.
And so it's a situation where they've got to do what they've got to do, and we've got to figure out how to get them the equipment that they need without it being a precarious situation. And so financing this with as low a payment as I could muster over a 10-year period, I believe is the safest way to go.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mike O'Neill.
Okay, now I remember earlier this year we had authorized replacement of a bunch of, I remember one was the tree thing, and there was a couple pickup trucks that had permanent residents in them and stuff like that. So those have already been purchased, and those were from ERAF funds, if I remember correctly, weren't they?
Some were from ERAF funds, and some were from Fund 72 dollars.
Which is the vehicle replacement fund?
Yes.
Okay. So the $600,000, that's not going to interfere with the replacement of any of those previously authorized vehicles. Those are said and done, correct?
Right. So what I'm trying to do is make sure I put the fund, make the fund whole again So when we come before you with the 2018-19 vehicle replacement schedule, that there's adequate funding.
Right, because basically, correct me if I'm not understanding this correctly, vehicle replacement fund, there's money put in there by Public Works, there's money put in there by police cars, there's money put in by planning, whoever.
And fire,
And
yes.
the fire department is in essence borrowing from all those departments to pay cash. You're going to get a loan and just pay it back so that then the Public Works can buy their trucks and planning and police can buy their police cars. So
And
it's
wastewater.
basically a bridge loan to purchase, and then you're going to take and get the remainder from the bank or look at the other options you can dig out.
Well stated, yes.
Okay.
Sue Vatalas.
And in the end, the fire department will be paying the whole cost of this truck out of the fire department vehicle replacement funds.
Yeah, it'll actually, the replacement cost of this will come out of the general fund balance, but it will be, it'll go through the fire department's budget, so we'll be able to track it.
Their portion.
Mm-hmm.
Just another follow?
Yeah.
Will this allow us to actually start any sort of, I'm looking for the right word, amortization or depreciation where we can actually fund and pay cash without having to borrow from Peter to pay Paul, or that probably is not?
We're working to get to that point.
Okay, I figured you are. Yeah, thank you.
Sue DeGree.
I have a couple questions. So the old engine, what happens to that? Do we get any money out of that?
We typically turn it over to the city for surplus, and then they deal with getting rid of it or selling it or that kind of thing. There's no plan presently to sell it to anybody, but that's Assistant City Manager's purview and how he deals with it.
Okay. And so there's that option, but there's also the option of taking the vehicle that was in service and sort of moving it to the back line as the reserve, and taking the vehicle that it replaced and getting rid of it or disposing it. That way, we always have the two newest engines ready to go. And so that's kind of a practice that will continue.
And we know which station this is going to go to? How do you figure that one out?
I'm going to leave that to Chief Myers and DC Pimpick to
I'm
deploy
sure they
the
have a
engine.
method to their madness.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they do.
The current rig that it probably will replace is over 23 years old. It's tired. It needs to get some rest. So.
All right, thank you very much.
Send it to Ferguson.
So how much discount in total did we achieve on this? Do you know?
I think a little over $50,000. Hang, give me it's $52,222. It's the bottom of packet page 225. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So we basically paid. They took care of the tax for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's very good. Will we see this item again when you figure out whether you're going to just pay for it directly or finance it?
Yes, because in order to finance, we will need your authorization for City Manager Woodhouse to sign the financing documents. If there is an appropriation from another fund, we will need your authority to enact that appropriation.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Your fund loan? What you're saying?
Well, there are a number of options, and I'll bring those options back to you.
Deirdre Martin.
I have just one more question. City Manager, are you comfortable with this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. If there's no further questions or comment, Mike O'Neill, there is some. No?
I was just going to make a motion.
Okay, that's what I was
Move to
looking
adopt
for.
the resolution amending the 2018-19 adopted budget for Fund 72 Motor Pool Replacement Fund for fiscal year 2018-19, adding $602,083 to adopted revenues and expenditures.
Second.
And it's seconded by Sue Degree. And please vote. And that passes 5-0. And congratulations, got a new truck, shiny.
What new fire truck, can we get a ride?
Did we cut a ribbon on that?
I think so.
You get a ride at least.
600,000.
Yeah, your kids will love it, wouldn't they?
Okay. Now the last item, number 13, designation of voting delegate for the League of California Cities Annual Conference. Who's going?
Good question. Mike, are you going?
Yeah, I planned on going, yeah. I planned on going.
Okay, so should I nominate Mike?
So I have just a question.
Yeah, okay.
So I have a question. So when is this? This is September. So usually you know ahead of time what you're going to be voting on, and it's been a practice that we come to council with it for discussion as much as possible to see what council feels on whatever you're voting on. Is that acceptable?
I have no problem with that. However, I have no idea what's going to be on the ballot.
Right, we don't, but they will be. It should be out pretty soon.
Well, I think if it comes prior to a meeting, but sometimes I think you have to kind of let you know there, and it's just kind of a gut feeling as to what I think everybody wants to do. And usually it's not one vote deciding, I have to admit, so. I have no problem bringing it up if and when I find out what it is. But lots of times, I think it starts like September 12th or 13th, something like that. You don't really know what the agenda is till September 12th. Am I correct, City Attorney? You're there.
I do know that the board has actually already talked about what is going to be discussed. I don't think they've put together a formal agenda yet, but usually some items are available prior to the 12th and some are not. So my suggestion is that, the city manager will become aware of certain resolutions if they are ready that the delegate would be voting on, and can bring that to the council. But it probably, as Councilmember O'Neill said, it probably would not include all the resolutions that will be voted on.
They need us to designate a voting delegate.
But regarding what I said, do you need anything for that?
That's
No,
it.
Okay.
So I would agree with Councilmember Degree that if there's anything that we can talk about ahead of time, that would be awesome. If you get there and you find out something a day ahead of time, my recommendation would just be maybe you can call mayor and consult. And I would nominate that Councilmember O'Neill is our delegate.
I'll second.
Okay, please vote. And that passes 5-0.
So we also need to designate an alternate as well.
Is there anybody going?
I'll do it. But I have to decide to go, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
I'll be the alternate, and, if no one else wants to,
Sure.
and then I'll plan on going.
Okay.
So I'll also make a motion to nominate Councilmember Vaterlos as alternate.
I'll second.
Okay, please vote.
Let me know soon.
Hey, you got to press it again, so
Okay.
you got to do a do-over. She didn't clear it, and we all both pressed our buttons.
Ready?
Yeah. And that passes 5-0. Okay. You have the unanimous support of City Council.
Wow.
Awesome authority that you're taking to the,
Love it, 8:30.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Love it.
we are adjourned. Yes.
Okey dokey.
Go through the 14.
I won't, actually. Denise is going to be there.
Do you want to sign resolution? Do you want to sign resolution 17 now?
Sure.